Hello and good evening to the folks at Norwood. You've dialed in case you were looking for the Norwood Trails Advisory Committee meeting of August 25th, 2020. You have found us. We are a advisory committee working for the Norwood town manager in advisory capacity. We've been in service to the community now for just about 2 years, and thanks for dialing in. This is a virtual meeting. We're all online, calling in from remote. All of our meetings are taped by Norwood Community Media. Thank you, NCM. We do take meeting minutes, and those minutes and the agenda are available on the Norwood Town web page, on the Trails Advisory Committee page. We're always interested in feedback. You can always reach us at by sending us an email at trails@norwoodma.gov. Each one of us will repeat that at least once tonight, just to drive it home. Circling around the view here, I'm going to ask for a roll call attendance. If you could just say aye or whatever comes to mind. Craig Austin.
Here.
Margaret Prep.
I'm here.
Dick Dave.
Here.
Kate Smith.
Here.
Lee Leach.
I'm over here.
Excellent. Sue Bartlett.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Marsha Mata.
I'm here.
Excellent. Thank you all for coming. And I'm Joe Greeley. We do have a couple of folks who have, they're not AWOL. They've dialed it. They've reported that they're unavailable to join us tonight. John Apria was unable to join us, and Jerry Miller was unable to join us. They're here in spirit. Feel free to talk about them throughout the night. Let's see, moving right along. Thank you very much. Moving right along, we'll talk about prior meeting minutes. I do think we're a couple of meetings behind in our minutes. That delay is due to our remoteness. Lee has committed to getting caught up, and at some point we will spin over and we'll revert to the taped sessions that are available on NCM rather than taking hand minutes. Lee, any other comments?
Oh, I just wanted to amplify what you just said about people who want to view our past meetings on NCM. It looks like we have two recently in June and one in April. I know we've done minutes for the January and February meetings of this year, so that's sort of a capsule. But really, the tapes are easily watched. You just go on their website, and you can go to, I think it's government, and then or search just Trail. I just searched and it came right up on their. I guess it's their tapes that they have on ready for us. So when the current meeting, tonight's meeting gets ready, it'll also be available. That's August 25th. So that's it.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Our committee, we do have a rather fluid committee. Technically, I think we probably have maybe 7 official members, but every meeting is exciting and every meeting is different because a whole host of people show up every meeting and it's a little bit different. Everybody contributes, as they say, everybody plays. We all, the one exciting thing is that because it's a different face, because we have different members at every meeting, I think we definitely get a good cross section a good idea of what's going on and what could be going on in the town of Norwood as far as the trails are concerned. Case in point, we always welcome we always welcome feedback, and of course, we always welcome new members. We love to have new folks give us their ideas and help to guide the process. So we do have a esteemed visitor joining us tonight for the first time, Kate Smith. Kate, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. My name is Kate, and just a little bit of background on me. I won't go into too much detail, though I've been asked to give a lot of detail. But I'm originally from the Pacific Northwest. I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and I spent my formative years traveling around from probably as far east as Montana and as far south as California, reaching all the way into Arizona, Nevada, Utah. Haven't been to Wyoming, but I've definitely explored Washington, Oregon, Idaho a great deal, and Northern California a lot. So I moved to Massachusetts in 2010 when I went to Boston University for grad school, and I met a Norwoodian. We moved to Los Angeles for a short period of time, but you can't take a townie out of Norwood, and so we ultimately came back, and we came back in 2014. So I've lived officially in Norwood since then. And I will say that I've always loved the outdoors, and I've always tried to make being outside a priority. That was a big thing for me growing up. And as I've gotten older, as a lot of us do, I've made my career kind of the majority of put a lot of my efforts into building my career. And now that I have a career I really enjoy, I know there are pieces that are missing, and I'm looking for ways to get back outside. And I think that quarantine has really helped me to reprioritize and to really look at what are some options, what are some things I really want to do. And I was involved in the One Norwood campaign, really fighting for, making this town as great as it can be and funding that. And I'm really interested in trying to continue and give back and trying to expand opportunities in the town, particularly ways you can be outdoors.
Okay. All right. That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
We did, just for the viewing audience, thank you for dialing in tonight. We did ask Kate to sing on her first evening, so hopefully before Kate will impress us with her singing abilities. But seriously, thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it. Everybody has a different perspective of what the town's trails and open space are, but more importantly, a view of what they could be. So I think that's probably the real benefit of having a trails, truly advisory committee, is not only where we are today, but also where we want to be in the future. So we may never be Idaho, but that's the goal.
Idaho's great, but it's not all it's cracked up to be.
We're all in our own private Idaho. Great. Well, welcome.
I didn't get that. Try.
So, all right, great. I wanted to, so moving into the next section of the, the agenda, we do have a couple of points briefly to talk about as far as trail reports are concerned. I think Masha, you had something to bring to the table there.
Are you talking about what I told you that I haven't told you yet about today? No.
Well, I guess I can't really tell because you haven't told me about it, but yes.
Okay. Yeah. No, it was nothing
Yep.
that exciting. I just so I was over at Shattuck today. I frequent Shattuck and Dean 2-3 times a week now because I'm, as those of you that don't know, but it's because I do dog walking, and those are the places that I take the dogs that I'm walking. Anyway, and today it was interesting. So after the storm, there was some trees down, and most of them were off the trail. This is at Shattuck, except there was one that was kind of on the trail. And what was interesting and kind of cute was there was the grandpa and his two boys, and they were taking care of that tree. It was really kind of cute. Whether it was allowed or not is another issue, but they basically took the tree down, the broken, the part that fell, and they were sawing it up and just moving it out of the trail. It was really kind of cute, and you could tell that the grandpa was trying to show them how important a trail is, or important it is to clean up, and how to use a saw, and it was really cute. So that was what I kind of saw today, and I got a kick out of it, and I yelled over to them and said thank you. So yeah, I thought that was interesting.
And tell us if you could a little bit about Shattuck, where it is, and who the frequent flyers of Shattuck are.
So Shattuck is over off from in between Winter, Nichols. I'm not sure the two roads that cross through. I always forget the names, but
Shattuck
it's right
Park Road.
Shattuck Park Road, of course.
And Bond Street.
Yeah, and right. What is it? What's the other one?
Bond Street.
Bond. Okay.
James Bond.
And yeah, James Bond. And
90 years old.
they're doing all kinds of work on Nichols Street. And I frequent there with a couple dogs, and there's not a lot of people, which is nice. It's not like it's so many people that you're like, oh, too many people here today. It's just casual, and I'm there during the day. Every now and then there'll be a few dogs, and everyone's pretty respectful, picking up their poop. I haven't seen a lot of poop. The glass that was there, I haven't seen a lot of glass lately. We know that there's some up by the rock areas, which we expect to be, or not want, but it seems to be that's the case. So that's what it was. That's what I did. It's what I do a couple times a week.
Okay, great. Masha is definitely the I don't want to say roving photographer, but she's the she probably leads the league as far as trail reports are concerned. You also found one, was it yesterday at Endine?
Yeah.
At Tree Down?
Yeah, there was
So-
a tree down on the far side towards the railroad tracks. And I let you know, but I haven't been there. I will be there again. What's tomorrow? Wednesday? I'll probably be there again tomorrow, and I'll you're able to do a dance under it. But yeah, there's a tree right across the path.
Marcia, how
Okay.
wet was it?
It wasn't bad. I was able to walk. I usually just do by the water, by the pond, not by the pond, by
Okay.
the stream, and then I go up into the field, and then I
Mhm.
go to the right. I go straight through over the little bridge, straight through and to the right. On the railroad track side was
Mhm.
wet, but not. You could walk, and there was no problems getting by anything.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice to see the river actually when it's after rain, because I only let dogs really go in it and do much as long as it's moving and pretty, I don't let them in stagnant water. So it's nice because it was very, very, moving a lot and very high. So it's good.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do have to reach out and thank also Deborah. I think I'm saying her last name right. Deborah Liu, Liu,
Oh yeah.
who's a Norwood resident, and she actually, likewise, she sent me a picture and a report on that same tree at Endine yesterday morning. So wanted to reach out and
I know
thank you
Deb.
both.
I know Deb well.
She so with both of those pictures that you both have sent, I just turn around and send them over to the DPW dispatch, and I can only assume, Masha, that when you're out on the property tomorrow, that that tree will be out of the way and there'll be clear sailing. So
Great.
the
Great.
DPW.
If not,
Sure.
at least you can get by it. You can kind of go under it. It's not like it was the one like the other one. She literally couldn't go past.
All right, great. Good, thank you. Any other trail reports or things that have been encountered that we should report to somebody? Anybody find anything?
Everybody seems to be finding coyotes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
yeah. In the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Where? Where are you seeing them?
Well, I'm on Wall Point by Chickering, and yesterday or the day before there was one around 10 o'clock in the morning walking down the street.
Wow.
And they're missing a cat, and I think we saw where the cat is.
Yeah. There's many, many cats missing. So that's because, yeah, there's lots of coyotes.
Common problem, unfortunately. Sue Bartlett, would you like to tell us about the work that's being done or has been completed at the Peswick Trail? And also where the Peswick Trail is?
Actually,
And Sue,
sure.
are you looking at the sky?
What?
Are you looking at the sky above you? I'm outside, and it looks
Yeah.
like it's going to pour any.
Oh, don't say that. I'm outside too, trying to get something done. Oh,
Well,
no,
look up.
no.
Dig
It
faster.
looks
Even though the
nice
rain-
over here.
Yeah. Wait a minute, weather.
We're expecting
so,
thunderstorms until 10, I think.
Okay, so actually, a couple weekends ago, Adam, is it Goreen? Is that how you say his name? He was working on his Eagle Scout badge, and so he's gonna clear a trail and make a kind of little picnic area at Peswick. And I had never been to Peswick, never been over there. It's kind of off of Sumner Street. You go off of Sumner and then down towards Norwood Gardens there, and it's right off the back of that property, and it kind of goes along the stretch of the water. It's a nice little spot, small, but it's nice. And what Adam was doing for his Eagle Scout project, he's clearing the trail, clearing an area near the water to add like picnic table and like a nice spot to sit. So he kind of like last minute got together. I was impressed at how many kids he got together last minute, kind of, but he had 3 sessions each day on a Saturday and Sunday. And I did one of the sessions just going down. He had a lot of scouts there helping him. And then he had, a couple of the troop leaders were there. And then he had spots available for adult help. And he was pretty well organized. He had all the tools. He knew like what a kind of a plan in his head of what he wanted to get done. So I was pretty impressed with like the whole thing, and it's really a nice little spot. So that's
How
about
much
it.
did he get done, Sue? Was it completed?
I
Or
was
did you
there
get a
like
lot?
he had 6 sessions, and I was there the second session, and we actually had a lot done by the
Okay.
second session. So I'm not sure. He had 3
Nice.
sessions each, 3 2-hour blocks each day. So
Nice.
nice. I think Joe went after the weekend and took some pictures too. So I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, I was just trying to I should have teed them up. I was trying to find some of the pictures, but so Adam has been, excuse me, he has done, just as in the case of all Eagle Scout projects, the scouts are challenged, I guess, to come up with their own project and design and plan and organize the whole thing by themselves. In this case, Adam spent quite a time. He actually came and met with the committee about a year ago, because Peswick Park is it's a conservation commission property. He actually had to meet also with the conservation committee. So what the outcome of it is he and his scouts and Sue cleared a grove. It's a really nice spot along the trails, between the trail and the brook. This is Trap Hole Brook that goes from probably over to the Neponset. But it comes underneath Sumner Street right in that area. And actually he did a great job. So by clearing the grove, the Conservation Commission has a picnic table and a bench that they're going to install there. And up until this point, Keswick has been really almost a lost child, because nobody in town ever, even though it's been labeled and, there's a sign, very few people even know that it exists. And hopefully with this work that Adam has completed, it'll allow us to highlight that trail more. So the work he did was really a positive step in the right direction. Keswick is, if anybody looks it up, it's Pezwick, and it's named after a young man, Bill Peswick. Billy, I guess he was young enough that they called him Billy, but Billy Peswick, and that's how the trail in the area came to be. As Sue said, it abuts the Norwood Gardens property, and Norwood Gardens has given the town an easement so that we can walk along the parking lot of Norwood Gardens and connect up with the high power tension line easement that runs behind Vanderbilt. So you could basically go along this trail between Peswick and Vanderbilt. You could go from Sumner Street all the way over to Dean Street. And you could rehydrate on the way at places like Castle Island on Vanderbilt and Astor, if you were thirsty at all. But it's a nice little trail. It's about probably 1.25 miles each way. So it's actually it's a nice, it's not quite up to Kate standards, but it's a nice little trail. And, it touches an area, the Peswick and the whole Sumner area, and that whole Trap Hole Brook area is, it's very rare that people come visit. So we do want to thank Adam Gorin and his team for picking out that spot and improving the process over there. So
How about
they
a
do
question?
anytime there's an Eagle Scout project, the Eagle Scout, it opens up to any volunteers that want to participate. So just for future reference, that'll come up again. So Marguerite?
2 questions. One, how's the parking over there? And the second one, I've seen Eagle Scout projects happen before, and kids put a lot of work into them and they look great. But what happens after they get their Eagle badge is that they just deteriorate. Is the Conservation Commission willing and able to take over the maintenance of the trail so that Adam's good work can be available for the remainder of, for the town?
Yeah, that's a great question, Marguerite. When I first met with the Conservation Commission about 2.5 years ago, my first proposal to them was that we create an Adopt a Trail program.
Mhm.
And that has turned into all of you folks dialing in on a Zoom call. But we do need to kind of take the handoff from Adam and any of these other Scout or community projects and make sure that their hard work doesn't go to naught. There is not a lot of maintenance that's required, but that's a good point. We really need to drive that adopted trail program, even if it's like Marcia doesn't know it, but she's basically adopted most of the trails. Craig, I know you do a lot of this work too, is anytime you're out on a trail and you see something, it's one of those see something, say something. At the very least, an adopter, at the very least, that person, might be walking a dog or walking the kids or just walking. And even if all you do is just pick up the phone and say, hey, there's a tree down, that's a huge help. So we do need to organize care and ongoing maintenance for these properties.
Joe, I have a question.
Marguerite, I think you just volunteered to take over the Peswick Trail. But that is a good point. We do need to transition that. Masha?
My question on that, Joe, would be if someone, not me, but maybe me, were to say like, okay, I want to, adopt I'm on a certain trail all the time and I'd love to be more involved with it. What kind of support do we have as far as DPW? Because I mean, like, say if I'm willing to even join in on care of the property, but there's only so much I can do, like what's our relationship such with the DPW that we can, or even other groups to say, okay, this one, there's not the trees down, but say like, it needs to have some rocks put in or some, whatever something wrong and it's dangerous. What do we do? And what can we do and what will we be able to do?
Yeah, sure. So we do, next, one of the things that we had on our list before this whole COVID thing kicked in was to create essentially create a, the DPW, the Conservation Commission, Trails Committee, each of the departments has a maintenance budget. So if it's, small day-to-day, but, maintenance, then we could certainly do it out of the budget. If it's, wouldn't it be great if we had a new trail over there? If it involves new trail clearing, we would certainly rely on volunteers. We would rely on, funding, more extensive funding, like a community preservation or that sort of thing. I think if it's day-to-day things just like this tree that's down at Endine, or some of the work that you found on Shattuck Park, I think, as long as we report it to the town, to the DPW especially,
Okay.
then they will just fit it in on the next scheduled run.
So how does that pertain to the Peswick one? Is that going to be one that same thing can be done?
So Peswick is a little bit different in that Peswick is a conservation property.
Okay.
When I first got to Peswick in March, I tried to do a little advanced scouting for Adam. When I first got there in March and April, the ground cover was up to past my waist. And so really what we need to do is make sure that, now that we actually have trails, we have to consider them as trails. And we need to have like a periodic mowing and a periodic care schedule. So those are things that whoever owns the property, like the DPW and actually some of the neighbors on Mylod Street are doing a great job of managing and maintaining the high meadow where the apple orchard is. I know you're all familiar with that.
Mhm.
Yep.
But since that has come to be, the DPW and the neighbors, those folks are doing a great job. They're actually out there with their John Deere. Whether it has a cup holder or not, I'm not sure. But they're cutting a path. They're cutting a path that goes from the orchard all the way down into the Endine trails. So that's the kind of thing that, if individuals don't do it, if the community doesn't do it, then we look to the town to take care of things and keep it on a rotating schedule. Marguerite, getting back to your point.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's right. Go ahead. Go.
I'll just say, so the best thing we can do at this point, because we're not talking about redoing an entire trail, is to just continue to report. And then when it gets to be something that's much bigger than expected or a bigger tour, that's when we reach out to the community and see how together we can fix or keep a trail going, right?
Right. Yep. Right.
Okay.
And
Great.
Joe,
Go ahead, Vic.
I had a question. So we get these trails going, and the maintenance is a big thing. But shouldn't someone or some of us be trained on how to properly maintain a trail like the Friends of Blue Hills and all that? How do we do
Right.
that?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Some of us remember a gentleman by the name of Bob Flagg. Bob Flagg came to visit us about a year ago from Blue Hills.
Yeah.
The Friends have, in fact, I think Sue may have signed up for this next month, but the Friends have monthly service days on the Blue Hills. But this gentleman, Bob Flagg, as I was actually on one of those work parties 2 weeks ago, but Bob has volunteered to come over and give us some guidance, as has Mark Ryan has likewise offered us kind of an in-training day of service, just to, make us aware of the things that we can do and should not do. I'm not advocating that anybody goes out there with a Husqvarna chainsaw, but there's certainly things that we could do just to keep things in good shape. Moving a log, I wouldn't advise anybody in the community to do much heavy lifting at all on their own.
Mhm.
We had actually planned a full cleanup of the St. Street lots, which I believe we still may be able to have this late September or early October. So it's things like that, and it's only by doing that we'll learn how to do things and what we should and should not be doing.
Well, when I went on that with Bob Flagg, we learned how to properly do erosion control, across the trail so the trail won't wash away. There was a lot of things that, not just, clearing brush and everything, that was interesting to me, that we should be all know about that.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm.
Sounds like a good fall exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Erosion control, we really, so far, we don't have too many trails that have much elevation at all. We certainly have our share of water. So there are definitely places where we could put into place some good practices as far as erosion control is concerned. We always talk about having a parking lot in any of these meetings, and that is a good discussion. And maybe we can do that in the fall. We'll have a day, either invite Bob to come join us, or Mark Ryan or somebody from DPW,
Mhm.
and just give us some guidance. And if we all brought a shovel and whatever kind of loppers and whatever kind of tools we have in the shed, I think we could definitely have a go at it. And whatever we do, it's going to be good for the trails anyway. So let's see if we can put that on the calendar for September, October. Our
When
calendar,
it's cool.
yeah, our calendar, Kate, we actually have a calendar, but it's kind of shot at this point, but we will prove that we have one. So, what else?
The parking, Joe,
we
parking at Peswick.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. So the trailhead, there's one trailhead at, if you want to call it that, at Sumner Street, and it's very tight. I would assume that either 3 cars or 4 people that know each other could all park there. It's the good news is it's a 5-minute walk from the Home Depot parking lot. But the trailhead at Sumner, it is a very tight, it's a tight trail in a tight community. I wouldn't necessarily invite too much parking in the Norwood Gardens property. On the flip side, people could park, as I said, the other end of the trail basically comes out onto Astor Road or Astor Lane, I forget what it is, ASTOR, right, one building over from Castle Island. So that would certainly be another parking area, would be to park at the other end and walk back in. as I said, it's it's just over a mile from one end to the other.
All
Is
the,
Mark-
also the self-storage space there, there's good parking down there. If you
Yep.
follow the, high tension lines.
Yeah, I have spoken to the light department. The light department owns that easement. And right now in the high season, when the ground cover is at its height, you really you cannot pass on that high tension area. So that's another thing on the to-dos list.
Hmm.
But that would be a much better and a much longer trail is to go out to, that's how we would get out to Dean Street. So,
And it's a very
Um,
good winter trail.
oh, it's a great winter trail.
Hmm.
Lots of flora, fauna, deer, you name it. It's a good snowshoe trail or
Mhm.
even cross country skis.
Yeah,
Margaret?
Just a observation, the Old Farmer's Almanac is predicting a cold and snowy winter.
Hmm.
But I was wondering whether the Astor, bless you, has any kind of signage that lets you know where the trailhead is. Is it obvious?
It is not obvious.
Okay,
So
so it's an adventure.
So it is an adventure, but that is, I have actually talked to the folks at Town Hall about putting up some signage at the Astor end.
Mhm.
There's also an easement, once you come out of the trail, what's the name of the building? Regal, it's actually where Regal Press is. Regal Press is right next to Castle Island.
Oh,
So they have allowed an easement down their parking area to the trailhead on that end.
mhm.
But we definitely need some signage.
Yeah,
can we park in that area down there?
There's definitely on-street parking on Astor and whatever that, I don't have a map in front of me, so I don't know what the intersection is, but if we keep talking, I'll find it, but it's Astor and something.
Morgan?
Astor and Morgan, right. Yep. So this is at the intersection of Astor and Morgan. And right at the bend where it curls back onto Morgan. So that's where it's actually, at that point, leading up from Norwood Gardens to Astor, it's actually a water easement.
Hmm.
So it switches from conservation property to town property. So, good. So yeah, parking and signage are definitely things that need to be worked on. I'm going to throw it in now. We actually have another scout. His name is Ryan Larson.
Mhm.
And Ryan is, we've got communications going on between Ryan and the Conservation Commission. Ryan has stepped forward and as part of his Eagle Scout project, he wants to install some signage at Endine. So he's identified 2 or 3 spots. He is in a Boy Scout troop that did work over at Adams Farm. And I think he borrowed the design for anybody that's been on Adams Farm. He borrowed the kiosk design. So he's going to build, as part of his project in the spring, he wants to build 2 or 3 kiosks to be put at different places at Endine.
Mhm.
But if the design works and everybody likes it, then we can use that design to put up signs at either end of this Peswick Trail. So that would be good. More to follow on Ryan's project, but it's just one more thing that volunteerism is a good thing. So, next on the agenda, I'll talk about, I don't know if we want to schedule something for a walk in the summer or late summer, I guess, or early fall. We did park the Meadow Street walk
Yes,
We could
let's
always
do it.
return to that or, okay. Okay, Marcia, how's your
I think we
calendar look
should.
for?
I think we should do that in
Okay.
September or October. But yeah, I
All right.
really want to go down that. I haven't been there. I'm
Okay.
afraid without knowing where I'm going.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll throw out offline. Is everybody up for that Meadow Street walk? Vic, you've done that a
Yeah.
few times.
Yeah, I haven't been down there for a while, but I don't know how the growth is now.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I take it.
We can go with our battery weed whackers, right? Did we say we could or couldn't do that?
We could do that. We have,
I would go with boots and long or at least long
Yeah.
pants, because last time I
Yep.
went about a month and a half ago, the grass is pretty high. It's not bad, but it was pretty high, and it gets wet down there.
All right.
Certain spots.
battery powered weed whackers.
They're
Yeah.
called-
Um,
It's
fine.
called something called a grass whip that doesn't require any batteries.
Mm.
It's an old primitive tool. but it works.
Well, if anyone has any one of those, we're always looking for volunteers, and especially volunteers with equipment. So, what we'll do.
I'll bring my weed
we did
whacker.
Perfect. We did advertise that Meadow Street walk back in the beginning of the summer on Facebook, and we had some pretty good interest in that, so we can do that again. Everybody's schedule look okay for the back half of September, if that fits?
Depends on the day.
Are you looking
We'll
at Saturday or
we'll-
Sundays? Basically, you could kind of go with that thought first. Would you want to do a Saturday for most people or Sunday?
It varies.
think-
Doesn't matter.
I think,
Okay.
I think in the past, the Saturday afternoon or Sunday late morning seemed to fit for everybody, but let's
So
float
Sunday,
a
the
couple.
20th, Sunday the 20th is the our dog wash, which I'd love everyone to join and come bring their dog to. So the 20th would be out for me. And everyone else, because you'll all bring your dogs and cars to be washed. Just saying.
That was a shameless
plug.
plug.
Yep, we'll plug.
So yeah, so we'll float a couple of options and days, either that weekend, 19, 20, or the 26th, 27th. And there's never a perfect day, but we'll just try to do it on a day when most people are available.
And the weather
So
cooperates.
The weather cooperates, yeah.
and
Yeah. Last
Yeah, we don't-
time. Wow.
make storms. Yeah.
I can't do that weekend myself, so, but that doesn't mean it's not a good day for everybody else, so.
Marguerite, we'll try to focus on your calendar next time.
Don't
Um,
bother, don't bother. It changes all over the place.
All right, good. So we'll float a couple of options for mid to late September for that one, Meadow, and we'll still do Meadow.
Yeah.
Just real briefly, the Saint Street lot it's still a thing. The town officially owns it. The town has, in fact, I did send a letter of appreciation to the former conservation agent Al Getz. I should circulate that letter. I will do that this week. I should have done that before, but Al did an amazing job for years as the conservation agent in town. He basically set the table for a lot of the work that we're doing. There is a new person, Holly Jones. Holly actually starts next week. Her title is slightly different. She is being hired by the town of Norwood as the environmental planner. But one of the things on her plate is to act as the conservation agent and to do site visits and things like that. So she will be, when she starts next week, she will be a full-time employee working for Town Hall. Um, So at one of we will certainly invite her to join us at one of our upcoming meetings in September. But she will definitely take an active part in the development of the Saint Street lot. I was down there last week. I go on there frequently, and it is still such a beautiful spot right on the water. It will be good. So it's going to be great for the community of South Norwood, but it's going to be great for the town of Norwood as well. Marguerite, could you, next thing on the agenda, the bench placement, could you just give a quick Reader's Digest version of our
Sure.
walk around?
A couple of weeks ago on Sunday, Joe and Sue and Marge Corjay and I took a walk around the Hawesbrook ponds and pools and so forth, looking at the benches that currently exist and the potential places to put a new bench or two. And the benches that are there, there's 3 or 4 of them, are in halfway decent shape, except for one which is at a bit of a slant. So if you sat on it, you'd probably find yourself in Hawesbrook. But it's fixable, I think. We looked around, we found some places that looked like they might be good potential for another bench. The benches we're looking at are the type that you can see up by the community garden. And I think they're very nice. Marge seemed to think that more benches of the sort that currently exist. To brief description, they look like sawed-off telephone poles with a couple of planks across the top. That'll give you an idea of what it looks like. Marge seems to think that those are more accessible to more people. And she has MS, I believe it is, so that walking is very important to her, and having a place to rest is also very important to her. In my estimation, the ones on the north side of the ponds, about where the bridge between the 2 ponds currently is, would be a good place to have it, because that would give people an option to go and sit there, even if they didn't want to make the complete loop. But it was a really good walk. We went a little further. We hiked on one of the trails that goes up beside the brook off through the woods, and that was really nice too. But certainly not an accessible trail for most people who have any difficulty with walking. And I think we should proceed with the project and look at that particular area, either whether we do another one of the post and plank type benches, or put one of the ones that have the back and the arms. I think it would be a good thing to do there. I would prefer the type with the back and the arms, having had to deal with a knee replacement. So that makes it a little easier to get up and down. So that's the bottom line of the trip that we took. We didn't come to any specific conclusion, but we did inspect the area and the existing facilities, and we thought that this was a good project for the Trails Advisory Committee to undertake. That's it.
Great. Thanks, Marguerite.
Thank you.
Sue Bartlett, Sue, did you have any other observations about that walk? We really appreciate Marge Corjay coming out to join us and giving us her perspective. It's definitely appreciated. So, Sue?
Yeah, I mean, and Dean's probably the most walkable of the trails. But like basically I think there are 2 kind of sections, the lower section and the upper section. I think it's hard to get from one to the other because it's the hill going up. But so either, walking around the football field area at the top of the hill, or walking down at the bottom, either one seems to be probably one of the most accessible trails we have in town. So yeah, it was great to have her perspective on things, and things that, normally you wouldn't even think of becoming, just a real helpful thing to do, something that will really help people gain access to the area and enjoy it. So yeah.
Okay. All right, great. Excuse me. One thing that Marge did mention was the area around the two Hawes ponds, it was level. We definitely need some
Oh, yeah.
work as far as tree roots and things like that on the trail. One other thing that she mentioned was the grass. Like she would recommend that we put some like a stone dust trail leading from the main truck path to the trail, that would allow for things like anybody who's on a walker or anyone who's on a wheelchair. It's getting to that figure 8 track that might be a little challenging. So we definitely learned a lot from the walk, and we definitely have some homework to do, but having Marge's perspective was definitely helpful. So we definitely approved. Susan Clare was actually the person, and Marguerite, I knew you know Marge as well, but Susan Clare put the two of us together, so we appreciate that community involvement.
I think we should get some people from the senior center to come down and just walk around without us and just, give us a heads up on the kinds of things they see. One of the things that, as you mentioned, that Marge was concerned about was the unevenness of the grass surface, because when you try to walk on that, or if you try to, heaven help us, get a walker or a wheelchair over it, it could be very difficult. In Bird Park, they use the stone dust on many of their trails to make them more accessible, and it seems to hold up pretty well. They have to renew it every few years, but it still is a good surface for that kind of access. So something definitely to keep track of, and I have no idea what that kind of thing costs, but it should be fairly easy to find out.
Okay, all right. Great. As a result of that walk around, we had already ordered 2 benches, and we have recommended to the town that that one that's listing that the joyride into the brook. Yep, exactly. We have recommended that one be the first one to be replaced. So hopefully before the snow flies, that one will be replaced and be workable and usable for the community. So thanks, Marguerite. Thanks, Sue.
Okay, thank you.
So the next part of the agenda is just our members' minutes. So I'm going to I'm going to open it up to the floor. We'll just do our usual round robin. Maybe if you keep it to a couple of minutes and just talk about any completed walks that you've done, any walk recommendations that you think, or trail. We've already talked about trail maintenance recommendations. Where would you like to go that you have not been yet? Any ideas on, we talked about, I think at a last meeting, diversity on the trail. And maybe most importantly, where you think the Trails Committee should go next. So just not to put any pressure on anybody, but I'm going to go with Craig Austin.
Of
Want to
course.
jump in there first? Not to put pressure on.
Questions you ask at the end here. Yeah, I guess my wife's actually been traveling more on to these trails on the west side of town more than I have. When we've walked together, we've tended to be in the neighborhoods. But she's commented about the Father McAllister, Father Max path one time, and then the other way, I'm not sure, the light department easement. I've forgotten what else name that goes by, but nothing much there. Hennessy was sort of in the midst of the big weather storm that we had that eventually closed the hospital. The brook actually had backed up, I think, all the way down to the Neponset. It was backing up from there all the way up to our road and on. So we had little bit of news and a little bit of cleanup The water quickly went away, but it did claim a Cadillac. The trail committee is going well, considering the conditions that we've been hampered in really being able to meet regularly. But I like the continued involvement in the Eagle projects, and do want to encourage, being an Eagle Scout myself, want to encourage our participation, our help in that matter. And being a light, so to speak, that there are places green to be in Norwood. Encourage people to go out and actually go to these green places.
Okay, great. I didn't realize you have your Eagle. Not sure if anybody else does on the committee, but I guess that makes you the official Eagle liaison. Again, not to put any pressure on you, but
I haven't been able to attend or go to any of these Eagle Scout projects yet, so someday I'll make it.
you will get your chance. And how about briefly, is Neponset? I did see Neponset River Watershed has a brook. Was it a waterfront cleanup scheduled for next month?
I do not know about it myself.
Forget the day. I think Sue Bartlett, don't you know, 24th or 26th, maybe?
Well, 24th was yesterday.
I think, no, it's September.
September, okay.
Yeah, I guess it's the 26th of September, I think.
I think so.
So maybe that's something, it's a month away, but maybe that's something we could also participate in, or at least advertise as part of the community.
It's September 26th, 9 to 11, Neponset River Watershed Association in Canton.
Okay. So more to follow on that. Good. Thanks, Greg, and thanks to Patty. I will say, back a few years ago, the Stone Dust Trail that leads from Father Max over to Windsor Street was actually the result of another Eagle Scout project. I'm pretty sure it was Matt Hajar, David Hajar, the selectman, has two sons, and I'm pretty sure it was Matt who coordinated that Eagle Scout project. But that's why that trail is so usable, is because of work done by community volunteers, and in that case, an Eagle project. The more the better. So keep it going. Marguerite, do you want to jump in the next?
Yeah, that's better. I've given you most of what I had to say, but I wanted to mention that Marie Kidd set up the story walk over at the Elevisos Butterfly Garden, and that worked out quite well. And she was interested in doing some more in different areas. So I think that's a connection we should maintain. It brings people into the park areas, into the walking areas, and the people I saw there, mothers with little kids, were just having a delightful time. So it's worthwhile continuing that connection. That's it.
Okay, great. Good. And Marguerite, just real quickly, we were talking before the meeting started, we were talking about the Friends of the Harbor Islands. Are the
Yay!
ferries actually running?
The ferries are currently running out to Spectacle Islands. To get the schedule, check out bostonharborislands.com. They go
Okay.
from Long Wharf down in downtown Boston out to Spectacle on a fairly good schedule. So I would say, I don't know whether the snack bar is open, but you bring your own food. Spectacle is a great place and a wonderful place to fly kites.
Perfect. Great. Marsha Mata, thanks, Marguerite. Marsha Mata, you want to jump in next, please?
Sure. I personally am a doer. I like to do things, and I'm very interested in doing more. So when I say that, I'm more than happy and interested in participating in getting our kiosks going. If there's anything I can do, or any guidance, or, anything I can do to help, I would love to help with that. And I also think a couple things we brought up tonight were very valuable in the sense of trail maintenance. So I can see myself wanting to be a part of trail maintenance by, even if it's making different committees in charge of each trail, meaning not only just to report in problems, but to also be the leaders to set a date, maybe annually, for the each trail to be maintained. Make it kind of like a regular thing, because once it's regular, then it can go on forever. If you just kind of make it regular and then pass it down to the next group of people and pass it down. And usually I think if you involve the people in the neighborhoods that the trails are in, those are the people who care the most. So I'm definitely, interested in physically, going out on the trails and being a part of, that. And that's just me. I'm willing to do things. So I know I don't have a ton of time, but time sometimes is fine. I mean, like, sometimes it's not just time, it's making what you're doing fall into something you need to get done. So, say I'm walking a dog, well, we're going to walk over here. Or, on the weekends when I'm with friends, we'll go walk, a certain trail or something. I'm anxious to do that and do more of that. And I think, I hope to just offer some of that kind of stuff along the way here.
I think it's great.
Yeah, no, that's great. So from now on, Masha's in charge of doing things. Right?
No, I'll
It is-
specify better in writing. No.
No, that's great. This is honestly, this is sometimes frustrating because we all want to do more. We all want to make things better. We all want to, do. And, looking at the faces on the screen here, every one of us is volunteering because we want to make things better. And,
Exactly.
and we're all naturally outdoor people. And to be sitting on a Zoom call at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night in our kitchens is not the best thing we could think of. In some cases, there's not even wine involved, which makes it even worse. But
Good suggestion, though.
it is a good one. We
Pretty
all
soon,
want to
Joe.
get things.
I mean, who says
Thank
there's
you.
no wine? No, I'm sorry.
I'd say in some cases. But seriously, we do need to get back into that cycle. I think in the last fall, especially, we were going pretty good. We had a monthly walk. We had some going on, and I just think we need to get back on that horse and get it back together again. So we're not going to let a little COVID get in the way.
That's right.
So, good. Thank you, Masha. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Marguerite, I forgot to just confirm, but the work that Marie Kidd did was really excellent. And I do want to look forward to the next one.
I think that once school starts,
Yes.
she'll be much more involved in what's going on there.
Masha, we will take care of your.
Yeah.
Yep. Masha, we will attempt to answer your call for.
Maybe I'm going to regret saying that. I don't know.
I think, is Joe frozen?
He's not moving.
I just want to make sure it wasn't
We
just me.
lost him.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
there you
think
go.
we lost him. Oh,
yeah,
he's back.
but hopefully you can still hear us.
Joe, wave if you can see us.
We lost you, Joe.
There you go.
Oh, he's waiting.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. We can't hear you, Joe.
Is your speaker
Right.
on, Joe?
Vic,
Oh, there you go.
He's underwater again. Didn't that happen
Yeah.
one meeting? Get him out from underwater.
Yeah. Joe? You're not moving or can't hear you.
Vic, why don't you take the next turn since we can't hear Joe right now?
Sounds like a good idea.
Well, I've been taking my trails thing on the road, and I was down in Richmond with my friend and my daughter and son and her husband, and they have some wonderful trails in Richmond. If anybody ever wants to go down to Richmond, they're all around the James River, plantations, 50-mile bike ride, and then we went to the Outer Banks and visited. One place I especially liked was Roanoke Island, which was basically before Plymouth. But there was a lot of history down there, the Wright brothers, and it was also beautiful down there. And we were very socially distant down there. But, you know, when you go away for 2 weeks, that means a month nowadays, because for the second time I am quarantined. I'm getting toward the end of it, but I don't mind. The first time when I was the only one around that did it, it was kind of weird. Now this seems like, oh, what's the difference? You know, we're all like this. And but seeing a picture in the Norwood Now or wherever I saw it of the ice rink with the Mustangs and on the ice brings me to a point. What's happening with that? That's such a great spot. And are we doing anything, Joe, to further this with the town, or the funding? Or I'd love to see that trail. That's where you need erosion control.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last I heard on that, Vic, I
That
think was
is,
what we talked. Oh,
You
go
know,
ahead.
as soon as.
Joe. Didn't know you were there.
Get back, Joe.
No,
He's
go ahead,
back.
Go ahead.
No. I
I'm
was
back.
just going to try to talk for you only from what we've talked about
Masha.
before, the things you said.
Yeah. So I do think having the new environmental planner on staff will be able to give her the kind of the long range view. I don't think any progress. I don't think any communications has happened.
Oh, this is fun.
It's going to be tough getting minutes from this one.
I was going to volunteer to go, but I don't know if
That
Joe
was just toward the end.
thought.
Yeah, Joe, you're just coming to us in fits and starts.
Kate, why don't you go? Kate, go ahead.
Anyone else in the middle of their thought?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So, my first time here at the meeting, but some of the trails that I really enjoy part of the Ellis Park. And so I frequent that a lot. And then I also use and walk Hennessy Park, which is behind the Norwood train station. I'm back behind Shaw's. So I frequent those pretty regularly, and they're looking good. I think that Hennessy Park is the one that could kind of use a little maintenance. The ground covering is like shoulder height. So, I mean, you can still walk on the trails, but there's a lot that's kind of coming up and in. So there's a lot of the ground covering that's really starting to encroach on the trail. Still passable. And then something I'm really interested in would be to do the Father Mac Trail. I haven't explored back behind the Willet at all. That's something I'd be really interested in doing. And then a part of the agenda had mentioned the idea of and mentioned diversity. And I was just curious in terms of outreach, if any of you have been able to connect with maybe the parent-teacher associations with the schools and think about ways to get families and their kids out on the trails this fall before things kind of get really muddy. Thinking about ways to get outdoors. And I think that there's a lot of there. Depending on this,
What is that?
I have no idea.
Oh my God.
Joe must be
I think that's
dialing.
a great idea. Kate, I think that's a great idea. And I think the Parent Teacher Association would also be the people that we might want to communicate with to come up with, like, even for them to come up with ideas on things to do on the trails for kids. They might have ideas.
Yeah.
And the teachers might have ideas since they can't do everything indoors and they can't, who knows what's going to happen.
It was really noticeable during the spring with the pandemic where I could just see that everyone wanted to do something outdoors with their kids. And I think that
Yep.
there are some great
They
trails.
didn't know what to do.
Yeah, they didn't know what to do. And I just think if the parents knew that these trails were in their neighborhoods and they could just a
Yeah.
short walk that they could do with their kids and like planning some kind of nature activity for the kids. So that's,
Yeah.
I don't have children, so I don't know exactly how to entertain them outdoors, but the teachers and the parents kind of working together to try and see how to interact with the park that's in their neighborhood.
I think you're
Yeah.
right, and about the
agree.
PTA being a good entree into it. We've tried working with the school administration to develop an ecology program for fifth graders, and there was a resounding thud when we tried to make things happen. Teachers may have been thinking that there was, it was more work for them. We were trying to make it less work for them.
Yeah.
But I know that Sue and Joe developed some materials. Whoops, Joe's gone. Developed some materials for that age group, so that making those materials available through the PTA for kids who are, whether they're in school or out of school in a hybrid or whatever, it might be a very worthwhile thing, and that may be a very good conduit rather than trying to sledgehammer the administration.
Yeah, I
It's
also,
a
I know,
symptom.
yeah, I know that at the elementary level, they're emphasizing science in a different way with the hybrid model.
Yep.
They're bringing science more into the loop as opposed to just emphasizing reading and math. And so there may be an opportunity there to connect with science teachers at the elementary level specifically. So that's something that we could look into, connecting
Yeah,
as opposed to being, at the higher level.
Maybe inviting the president of a PTA or a member of the PTA to a meeting. Maybe one from each school, and just say we want to let you know what there is, because you'd be surprised. I mean, I've lived here 20 some odd years, and I didn't know. So, I watched things, but I didn't really know they were, trails per se. So they might not know either. And I know my neighbors don't know. Like, I'll tell them, and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "There's a trail right over there."
Yeah, I've lived here for
so-
6 years and I had no idea that some of this existed. And my mom has lived here for 2 years and she thinks we're in the middle of the city. She has I was like, the pond is right there. And she was flabbergasted.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So if Joe can hear us, which he probably can't, right? Let's say we can put that on an agenda, get it so that we can invite them at some point, someone from the PTAs of each school to a meeting.
good idea. Or alternatively, offer to go to a PTA meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I would suggest, that's
Yeah,
actually, yeah.
or take them all on a trail walk.
So that would be really good. I think planning a trail walk. I think the PTA and
Yeah.
all the parents are really looking for opportunities to just do something, and they don't have to do a lot of planning. So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
doing more of the trail walks, but orienting maybe one or two around kids, to
Yeah.
just maybe even taking them out to the Willet thinking about, oh, you went to kindergarten here, some went to pre-K there, and showing them what's beyond just the school grounds, going all the way
Yeah.
up.
Nice.
But I do like the idea, Marguerite, of maybe someone going to the PTA meetings. It doesn't have to be the same person at every meeting. If just one person took one school
Yep.
and said, here are some of the
And brought the brochures. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
taking and saying, here do a little demo of how to look at the trail maps, and then saying, here are the ones in our neighborhood, right up the street.
I think that you're getting the parents to come to yet another meeting is highly unlikely. But if we come to
Okay,
them,
great.
you've got a
Yep.
better audience. And then you take 15, 20 minutes of their meeting.
Yeah.
And they probably welcome it because, again, it's something that they can put on the agenda that they're not doing, but they can listen to.
It's something
Yep.
I would definitely volunteer to do. Not all of the elementary schools, but I would do at least one or two.
Okay.
You don't think they'll have their hands full in the fall?
What was
I
that?
think they will.
Don't you think they will have their hands full in the fall trying to survive the remote and in and out?
Well,
And,
the PTA
well,
or
yeah, and the
teachers.
system, teachers, whole
I
thing.
think PTA is having a bit of a challenge in that I think everyone's having a challenge in that no one really knows exactly what's going to happen. It's the uncertainty of the next I don't know, year, but really the next 4 months. But I think if you're the PTA is always looking to do things for the schools, for the students. And when they're in class, not in class, we're not sure exactly what's going to happen. It's hard for them to plan activities. And I think just plugging something in September when things haven't really gotten started yet might be a good opportunity.
It's worth.
Yeah, like
certainly
you
worth
said, a walk
approaching.
even.
Yeah.
Encouraging a walk.
And if their agenda's too full, we'll just push it to the spring.
Sure.
Yeah.
Never hurts to ask.
Well, by spring, I think they'll have figured some more things out. Right now, I think they're going, what do I do now?
Kate, are you
For
in
sure.
the school system? It sounds like you're experienced with the school systems.
My partner just left the school committee. So,
Okay.
yeah. And my mother-in-law is the president of the Teachers Association. So I'm very much
Okay.
steeped in the world of the Norwood Public Schools.
Great. All right. Is everyone
what do we do
okay
now?
so
I
far?
did just,
Well, we
Yeah.
haven't heard from Brian yet.
I'm sorry. Brian, go ahead. Brian,
Sure.
go for it.
Oh,
It
Joe's
is-
back.
What's that?
Joe's back.
Yeah, Joe's back.
And Brian, you
Um,
dress up for tonight.
yeah, well, I was at a scout meeting earlier tonight, another Zoom meeting that was also at 7:00, but they ended sooner, so I was able to come back and join you guys. As many of you know, I have a son, Nolan, who's in his early 30s, but he's cognitively impaired, and he's been in a group home. And there was 4 or 5 months we weren't allowed to do anything but wave to him through a window. No hugs allowed, no visiting, and so it's been nice. Late June, they finally said we could, or actually it was mid-June, they said we could come and visit and he'd go out of the house. But like as of late June and early July, we can actually pick him up for the day and, go on hikes. And so we've been, because his group home is in Sharon, we've been exploring things in that area near the Deborah Sampson Park and so forth. The King Philip's Rock and Cave, and so that's why I'm saying. There's a Beaver Brook Trail, which was done in I think 2009 by an Eagle Scout project. So it's been kind of fun to see, as we're exploring these new places, how many times that there have been Eagle Scouts, responsible for the trails. And it's been nice to get out because there really aren't that many people on the trail. And, my son has gotten so used to wearing his mask that he doesn't mind wearing it even on the trail. And, I say, Nolan, since when it's just the three of us, you can take it off. Just put it on if we see somebody coming, and we kind of all do that because it's nice to breathe the fresh air when you can.
Mhm.
And you appreciate it even more when you're spending so much time inside. So we were just We were just over at the Bradley Estate, which is now, I guess, under trustees of reservation over there in Canton.
Yes. Mhm.
It's right next door to the Boy Scout Council office, which is now moving. The councils merged, so we aren't going to have that Canton office anymore there at the water tower. So we'll have to go all the way up to, I guess, Marlboro for our council now that it's merged. But anyway, just it has been nice to get out and see some of these things, and it makes me even more appreciative of my fellow Eagle Scouts who have gone out there and and made a difference over the years. So, I let it slip. Somebody else was going to be the Eagle Scout liaison because there weren't any other Eagle Scouts. Now that you know,
We know.
Sorry to shortchange you, Brian.
No problem. It's I won't volunteer for anything. I'm the irony right now is that last spring I accepted January I accepted a position as the district activities chair for the council for Boy Scouts, just in time for there to be no activities to run. So we've skipped camporees and all sorts of things. So it's a challenging time.
Some things you can do virtually, but not too many.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great. I apologize. I think my bandwidth here in scenic South Norwood is limited, and I'm thinking that there is competition for a small pipe down here. So sorry for jumping in and out, but I do, as always the case, I appreciate everybody's ideas and input and thoughts and challenges and what ifs and things like that. I've taken three pages of notes, and it sounds like we're, in spite of everything going on around us, it sounds like we could and should have a busy fall for ourselves. I think it's especially exciting. We're kind of back where we were in the spring, of being an avenue for people to get out into nature. Hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully this COVID thing doesn't raise its ugly head again in the fall. But in the event that it does, people are going to need to have an out. They're going to need to be able to vent. And certainly walking on the trails of Norwood, we don't have any 10-mile hikes ahead of us, but whatever, exactly, Marguerite, whatever we can do to allow for an avenue for venting, that would be a good thing. So the other good thing just to throw out there is there are so many people that, they see all of us on the street or send us an email or something, give us a buzz. There are so many people that are excited about what all of us are doing, all of you are doing. I think we're on the right trail. And I think it's a great thing. As long as we keep up with the social distancing and doing things smartly, pick a
Well,
There we go.
trail and pick a time of the day that's a little less frequented, and just get out there as much as possible and make it happen. Did you have one?
Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wanted to ask, do we have I've been taking pictures of good ideas that I've seen on the trails and so forth. The ones I've seen out of town, as well as taking pictures around. Do we have a place we post that kind of thing? Do we have like a Dropbox for the committee or something where, Joe could decide what he wants to share on our Facebook page or something, but, that I could just kind of download some of the things that, like, for example, I saw a number of interesting ideas for how to do trail markers. And if, the committee wanted to look at some of those things, especially the glow in the dark arrows in a circle, which are, the reflective things, those were nice. So anyway, it was just, I didn't know. Do we have a place like that, Joe?
I think your best bet is to send them to Joe, because the open meeting business that we all have tripped over one way or another indicated that Joe should be the person who disseminates the information, that we can all send it to him to be sent out to the rest of us. And I think that that's a reasonable way. It'll make sure that everybody gets the information, and you have one central point, and Joe can filter it as need be. So I think that that's good. Joe, we just gave you an assignment.
Yeah. Well, that was why I was asking if there was a Dropbox location, because you can upload stuff to a Dropbox, but you're limited to how many things you can attach to an email. So,
Well, you can use the Dropbox application, actually, or one
oh,
of
the Dro-
those things.
there's-
Yeah,
Or we
Dropbox
could also
application.
do a shared, you could do a shared photo share with someone, and then Joe can decide what can't be shared, say, you know what I mean? And just have somebody be like an editor of what goes in it, but everyone could drop in, put things in it.
Well, the hitch is that this whole business we've run afoul of before is because of the open meeting thing. And Joe, you can clarify this. We aren't supposed to have communication directly from one of us to another one of us, or one to many of us, without going through Joe as the central thing. The idea being that everybody who participates will get the same message, and the town will not be liable for anything saying something, well, you know, you've been discriminating against so-and-so because you didn't send it to them. It's like, oh, geez, I just forgot. You know,
got it.
that's the easiest
Okay.
way around. Send it to Joe and let him do the work. We'll double your salary, Joe.
Perfect. You're only saying that I'm muted, right? Um, So
Brian, that
so
doesn't
they
mean you
had
can't-
town hall.
I'm sorry.
That doesn't
Go
mean
So I
I
was just
ahead.
gonna say, it doesn't mean he can't send it to you in some other version. That can be between you and him, how he sends it.
Oh, I
Doesn't-
get it.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So whatever works for you to get it to him, if it's not an email, you can do it in another way. It's just getting it to him and he disseminates it to everyone.
Exactly. I mean, carrier
Like I
pigeon,
still have
whatever.
some great photos I took of when we were up on Norwood Mountain, looking at the stars.
By the way, there's a couple of good
Yeah.
planets viewable out there now. Jupiter is really bright in the southeast sky, and then down to the left of that is the planet Saturn. And if you have even good binoculars, you might be able to see the rings of Saturn when this cloudiness
Wow.
finally goes away.
Was anybody able to see that comet that we had a while back?
I missed it.
Oh,
I did.
somebody did. The guy with the telescope.
Yeah.
I saw a
Actually,
finger go
better
up.
in binoculars.
Yeah, my binoculars didn't. I've got an old set of Bush binoculars. I'm not trying to see it, but
There's just an awful lot of
All right,
light around here.
Well, good. This has been great. Thank you all. Anybody else have any last minute words of wisdom they want to share before we sign off? Good.
Can I just say one
Um,
thing?
Go for it.
So that September, I had looked it up while we were talking, and that September 26th cleanup at Neponset, that requires a pre-registration if you're going to be taking part. So I sent Joe a link to that. So I think I CC'd everyone, but if anyone watching this from home or whatever can't find the link and wants to sign up, you can email trails@norwoodma.gov, and we can send you that link on how to sign up and help out on September 26th for that cleanup. That's it.
Good. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Good. Again, I apologize for my own technical snafus here. By our next meetings, I hope to have things cleaned up a little bit. We are scheduled to have 2 meetings in the month of September, on Tuesday, September 8th and Tuesday, September 22nd, both at 7 p.m. On Unfortunately, I'd love to see your happy smiling faces in person. But I think those days will probably also be doing something remote. I have thought about having something in my backyard or on the town gazebo or something like that. So that's still a possibility. We do need, Lee is gone, but we do need to celebrate Lee Leach's achievement of having walked the entire Appalachian Trail. So that's still on the horizon. So we're in good shape for September 8th and 22nd.
Good.
We do have a couple of things planned that we just planned tonight, or we talked about anyway. September 26th is the Neponset River Watershed Association trail clean or waterfront cleanup. We did talk about Meadow Street either the weekend of the 19th, 20th or 26th, 27th, and more to follow on that. That walk would be open to the community. And then to Masha's point, we will, and I think Vic, I think you mentioned this as well, to try to get some guidance on trail maintenance that we can do ourselves. So we definitely need to transition into the doing mode as much as we can. So hopefully by September, we will have a new bench at the Haas School area.
Great.
So we're making good progress there. So
You know, Joe,
other than that,
FYI,
I'll entertain a
Brent
motion to adjourn.
had a meeting at 7:00 live at Adams Farm tonight. So there is a hope.
Very good.
Yeah. And
They have
and they have
social dis-
Wi-Fi on the patio. They do.
Yeah.
We could.
Yeah.
We could actually do that.
Huh.
Maybe we can have our next meeting in front of on Central Street in front of the theater.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, I make a motion that we adjourn.
All right.
I second it.
I second.
So September is our next meeting. Good. Thanks, Marguerite. Okay, good. All right,
Good to
great.
see everybody.
Kate, thank
Good
you.
night, everybody.
Thank you one and all for joining. And
Thank you, Joe. Thanks,
be safe.
everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Nice
Thank you.
meeting you,
Thank you.
Kate.
Okay,
All right,
Hey.
bye.
Bye.
come again.